Check out the fully Ramblematic merchandise in our Second Wind store. There's t-shirts, stickers, pins, a fully posable magnet of mead you can put on your fridge, dishwasher, or meth lab. Go to shop.secondwindgroup.com and check it out.
Well, I'll be damned. We've got some good video game news in the form of corporate accountability today. The long-running Subnautica 2 legal debacle between the founders of Unknown Worlds and Krafton has come to a close, and with a win for the employees for once. As reported by Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, the founders of Unknown Worlds and Krafton have agreed to a legal settlement in which Krafton Inc. has agreed to pay bonuses to the entire staff of Unknown Worlds. This includes not only the staff of Unknown Worlds and the founders at the time of the acquisition in 2021, but also the employees that have joined since. And better yet, according to Bloomberg, the developers of Subnautica 2, which has sold more than 4 million copies since its early access release in May, will be compensated significantly more than called for under the original acquisition agreement and will receive further incentives as the game continues to be updated. Ted Gill, who was reinstated by Krafton following the initial ruling by the courts, has also resigned following the settlement, with both Krafton and Unknown Worlds mutually agreeing to find a new CEO for the studio from outside both companies. For a quick refresher on how we got here in the first place. In July of 2025, Krafton fired the co-founders of Unknown Worlds, Charlie Cleveland, Max McGuire, and Ted Gill, citing allegations that they had completely abandoned the development of Subnautica 2 in pursuit of their own personal projects, which had led to development being behind schedule and not ready for an early access release in 2025. Cleveland, McGuire, and Gill alleged that the game was ready for early access, and that Krafton fired them to avoid having to pay out a promised $250 million bonus to the co-founders and development team. Following the firings, Krafton delayed Subnautica 2 out of 2025 and the timeframe that was originally agreed upon for the bonus to be paid out. As the court case dragged on, Krafton kept changing their story. First, the founders were behind schedule in the game, then it became about them taking confidential files and abandoning the studio. All the while, through discovery, it came out that Krafton's CEO was consulting ChatGPT to try to find a path out of paying the bonus to the studio that was promised. And that pretty much sunk the case for Krafton from there. Gill was reinstated with the initial court ruling, and the earn-out period for the bonus was extended. Subnautica 2 came out in early access in May of this year, and was an instant hit, garnering over 450,000 concurrent players at launch, and selling over 4 million copies. Ironically, the better the game did for Unknown Worlds, the more it hurt Krafton's case in terms of having to pay the bonus. I've done 3 videos on this subject as I've been following the case quite closely, so if you want all the additional details, go give those a look to get caught up on everything that has happened. This has been a fascinating legal battle to watch play out in the games industry, as it was a perfect example of the absurdity of how corporate leadership operates. It's nice to see some accountability for once, even though so far, we haven't seen any structural changes at Krafton to make sure a situation like this doesn't happen again with another studio later. I'm not entirely sure how you can keep trusting a CEO who will consult ChatGPT to get out of business deals and end up costing the company even more than if they had just stuck to the terms they originally agreed to. But hey, I'm not a corporate executive, so I don't know what kind of thought process is going through their heads to justify keeping someone around like that. Not to mention the additional settlement money was probably the only solution Krafton really had, as I can't imagine anyone at Unknown Worlds would continue working for Krafton had the bonus they had rightfully earned not been paid out. Why would you continue working for a company that is actively trying to screw you over? It'll be interesting to see how the relationship between Krafton and Unknown Worlds continues moving forward, as this isn't just a publishing deal. Krafton owns Unknown Worlds outright. If I had to make a guess, I'd wager that the team at Unknown Worlds will complete the work they need to do on Subnautica 2, and then move on to being independent again at some point, once the further incentives mentioned earlier start drying up. Or maybe the relationship between Krafton and Unknown Worlds can be mended. You never really know with the industry these days, but with how many studios that have been acquired, made big promises, and then shut down over the last few years, looking at you, Xbox, I think everyone's quite tired of the constant bullshit that comes with being owned by these big conglomerates. That's all my speculation, of course. At least thanks to ChatGPT and corporate malarkey, the devs at Unknown Worlds finally found a way to get some money out of all this AI nonsense that's infesting the industry.